If the stock goes below the 295 levels, please do exit because there can be a downside up to 220 again from there on. However, having said that, until it continues to move in the direction that it should move towards 350, 355, which should be the target, which is where you should be booking a little amount of profits.
Shaina, Chola, what would you advise for the price at which our investor has bought it, which is 310?
I would concur. I would say that please do keep a stop loss of say 290, 300. At the same time, I think the government policy is moving positive for NBFCs. As we recently know, some of the state-owned banks can purchase high-rated pooled assets from NBFCs. I think Chola is one of the beneficiaries, potential beneficiaries, and also I think they are doing decent despite all the slowdown that's happening across segments in auto, etc. So I would say hold currently, keep a target of 350.
Okay, Manish Thakkar is on the line with us from Pune. Hi Manish, good afternoon. How can we help you?
Yeah, I'm holding 50 shares of Jammu and Kashmir Bank, bought at around 40 rupees. So confused about what should I do about it.
Okay, have you recently bought it?
No, it's been some time ago.
Okay.
Around 2 years.
And do you have a large portfolio of stocks? I mean, where does J&K Bank figure in your scheme of things?
I do have some amount of portfolio.
Okay, Shaina, for someone who's bought into J&K Bank, who has a decent sized portfolio, could there be hope of just keeping this in the hope that things would get better, or would you say that for somebody who's already held on for 2 years, things haven't moved higher, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of positive news flow as well? I mean, should you just bite the bullet and exit?
Well, if the investor is a completely, a long-term investor, does not want to bother about looking at what's going to happen in the 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, then you can keep your fingers crossed and hope everything will settle in the north and, the growth will come back. But if I take a very hard look, the size of the deposits is now less than 1 lakh crore, right? You have a very low valuation of 0.3 times book. Despite this, I think the overall growth in the credit will take a long time to pick up, and so the stock will be dependent, the stock price movement will be dependent on what happens politically and what happens in the valley. So I would just say that one needs to stay and switch away from this, stay invested in some other stock which potentially will give you a better return over the next 2-3 years, and then possibly relook. So I would suggest you switch to some other private sector bank, maybe a small bank, but do switch from here.
All right, switch from here. Let's also get in Nirav's view on this. His overall exposure to this stock is just around 1,500 odd rupees. When he bought it, it was close around 2,000 rupees, losing around 480, 490 rupees on this one. Do you think there is substantial amount of wealth to be made or lost in this exposure?
See, J&K Bank, even I concur, you should be exiting positions. It has fallen from 150 odd and up to about 30 odd levels now. It is making a lower top, lower bottom formation. Long-term trend is negative. Also, it's broken a very important support just now, about of 32. So very likely it will, fall down toward the 25, 22 odd level. So my suggestion too would be, to switch to some other bank, something like an IDFC First Bank, like for like. So, the price there is around 40, 43 odd rupees. So definitely don't stay with J&K, exit positions and, switch to some other bank.
All right, Nirav, we'll take a very quick break. As we do that, we'll leave you with a market opinion for now, and this comes in from Pramod Gubbi of Marcellus Investment Managers. We spoke with him this morning on the market trajectory and the stocks that he likes. Here are Mark. We'll be right back.
I think the markets tend to be forward-looking. So to that extent, I think the market is reacting to the sort of announcements that the government has been making over the last couple of months. At some stage, I think these announcements will start showing up in terms of on-the-ground data, be it macroeconomic data or corporate earnings, failing which I guess the market will show disappointment. But at this stage, I think critical has been the announcements around the financial system, because that's at the core of the growth slowing down, as we've realized over the last 12, 14 months. If we can address that and start banks and financial institutions to start lending, I think we have some hope of a recovery coming through. Relaxo is a portfolio company we believe is exposed to the structural dynamic in terms of spending on footwear. It operates in very low ticket size footwear, literally catering to the common man on the street. Common man's spending on footwear is unlikely to get affected by what's happening with the trade wars or crude prices, right? So to that extent, the demand is fairly secular. Volatility of growth is very limited, and Relaxo is a very dominant position in the entry-level flip-flop space or in the entry-level sports shoe space. We do have a position in iShares in some of our portfolios, not because it's already showing signs of a recovery yet. I think the numbers are there to speak, but I think it has remained a very strong franchise. If not tiles and cements, we're looking at pipes, for example, or electricals, where again, there's an element of moating coming from branding and distribution built over several decades. But yeah, I mean, it does have some reliance in terms of dependence on the real estate market for a structural pickup. There's certain construction materials which are dependent on replacement demand. Where paints, for example, 80% of the demand for paints is repainting as opposed to new real estate build-out. So, and hence this secular nature of demand is ticked, whereas not necessarily with other building materials. We have paints and construction chemicals like Pidilite.
"20 years of leadership in business and beyond."
The new tariff order, how has that played out?
Customer feels that if he's deprived of the channel which was coming, even though he wasn't watching on television, he feels that his prices have gone up. For the same price, I should not get less channels. While we were saying that you can choose your channels and decide what you pay.
Would you say this was a big disruption in the business?
It was a huge disruption in the business. In fact, on one side, it changed our relationship with the broadcasters. Second, it was like every customer's pack needed to be changed.
How has this change impacted consumption patterns?
In the new tariff regime, if I was getting certain channels for a price, and now I'm getting lesser number of channels for a price,
It's going to feel
I
like paying
feel
more
that
for
I'm
much
paying more.
less.
To making announcements that your TV bill will come down, I think was the wrong move.
Introducing Bharat Bond ETF by Edelweiss Mutual Fund. You can now invest in AAA rated public sector bonds with just 1,000 rupees. Choose between short or long-term maturity. Remember, offer closes December 20th.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
What's common to these smiles is the technology that connects them. Smart technology from Kirloskar, enriching lives one smile at a time.
Experience the latest innovations of infrastructure and construction space, which is shaping the growth of New India at South Asia's largest construction equipments exhibition. CII XCON 10th edition, 10th to 14th December 2019, BIEC Bengaluru.
अपन का अक्खा लाइफ लैमिनेटेड ऐसा अपन खूब चलेगा अभी तो और चलेगा अभी तो और बढ़ेगा एशियन पेंट्स अल्टीमा प्रोटेक्ट लैमिनेशन वाला एक्सटीरियर पेंट
एक विजिट में कार सोल्ड तो बताइए सर
देख बॉस, यहाँ एक विजिट में कार बिक जाएगी। छुट्टी तो तुझे मिलती नहीं, बाकी जगह चक्कर लगाता रहेगा। T20 की तरह खेल जाए। मेरी मानो, कार बेचनी हो तो Cars 24।
What secrets does the corporate throne hold? We'll get you the answers today.
It's time to look back and look ahead at the House of Policy.
This is how we spot big little stocks.
Speaking of stocks,
There's lots you can learn about investing at 20.
Because we are 20 years and we are growing young.
No spoilers.
CNBC TV 18, Season 20. Special programming you'll want to binge watch all month long.
Exchange partner BSE. Experience the new. In association with APL Apollo Steel Pipes, देश की अनदेखी ताकत.
Years of leadership in business and beyond.
Welcome back. You're watching Your Stocks. The next query that we have comes in from Mr. Dinesh Sivaraman, who's on the line with us from Mumbai. Hi, sir. Good afternoon. What can we help you with?
I bought 300 shares of Ashok in the month of July at 85.55 rupees. And I just want to know when the price is supposed to go up.
Are you a long-term investor?
In fact, I had planned for a short term, but at this point of time, I'm ready to go for a long-term investment also.
Okay. Nirav, I think you already have a call in Ashok Leyland, right?
Yeah.
Today?
Yeah.
So what would you advise our viewer who's bought it at 85, close to 86 actually?
Yeah. See, Ashok Leyland has made a good kind of a bottom formation around the 60-odd levels. The volumes have risen at the lower end, which is always good. You know, some smart buyers have come in. Also, the open interest has shot up on the long side. So definitely, it is now into the buying zone. There is a trend line breakout in Ashok Leyland which has come in. Which is again a positive, and that has come around the 75 odd levels. So I believe the investor should be holding on to Ashok Leyland. It is primed to move up toward the 110 odd levels, which is where the next resistance lies in. So until then, I think it should have a good run. So you should be holding on and booking profits around the levels of 100 odd. The stop loss for the same should be placed around 70. If that is closed below, that means Ashok Leyland will again, go into a negative trend and probably again fall towards the 55, 50 odd levels then.
All right, fair point. Shaina, what would your view be? Because we've had a lot of these auto companies join us and say, well, things are improving. They're obviously not on the mend to the extent that we saw earlier, the sort of growth rates. But the stock price has also corrected.
Yeah, I would say that things seem to be on the mend. So, and the stock is now seeming to bottom out at the 80 type of levels. But I would keep a good stop loss, say somewhere close to 75. And I would keep that stop loss, strict stop loss, because it's close to the investor's price. Keep a target of 90. The reason being, if you look at the balance sheet, it's really under distress. The debt is around 19,000 crores, which are almost 2 times the net worth, right? So basically, there are issues that are there in the balance sheet, and if you see the profitability, turnover is down in the first half, profitability substantially down. So if things improve, yes, the stock can bounce to 90, 100. If things get worse, then the investor will lose a lot of money. So keep a stop loss.
All right. Let's take another quick break. We'll be right back. We'll keep our focus on the market and answer some more stock queries. Stay tuned.
Brought to you by Servo Futura G Plus from Indian Oil.
अरे लेफ्ट देखो राइट देखो हाथ थामो ध्यान रखो पहले फूको फिर चखो सबसे पहले इंश्योरेंस कर लो जोर से जकड़ो ढंग से पकड़ो सबसे पहले
मिस्टर एंड मिसेस कुमार रोजमर्रा की लाइफ में सबसे पहले इंश्योरेंस करते हैं पर जब लाइफ इंश्योरेंस का पूछो
बाद में करते हैं ना
सबसे पहले अपनी लाइफ को भी दीजिए ना लाइफ इंश्योरेंस का भरोसा सबसे पहले लाइफ इंश्योरेंस
Sometimes work calls unexpectedly.
With Easy Ride, nothing seems tough. That was an easy ride.
It was delightful.
MRF Nilo Grip Easy Ride, a biker's delight. Make every ride an easy ride.
My name is Emily, and I work in the entertainment department at Warner Brothers World Abu Dhabi. I get to work alongside all of the characters and superheroes every day. Is everything safe in Metropolis today? Of course, I'm here. Warner Brothers World is a very immersive theme park. It has 6 lands, and it really has something for everyone. When I introduce a child to their favorite character, often their eyes are sparkling and their faces light up with joy, and it's really special to be a part of that experience.
You see them every day, talk to them every day, listen to them every day. They're your daily dose of advice, waiting to help you start your day with what's happening in the world of business and beyond.
Prices are down, so that's good news for both you and me as consumers.
With our update-filled daily Primo newsletter. The people behind CNBC TV 18 are now also behind CNBCTV18.com. The best just got better.
My main criterion for choosing an LIC policy was to secure my post-retirement years and a risk cover for myself. So LIC was the right choice for me.
Guys, we still need to find a hotel.
No panic. I have Trivago on my phone. Trivago scans hotel deals from the major booking sites, so you can find the best deal for your favorite hotel. Hotel Trivago.
Spin and win gifts up to ₹1 crore. Visit your nearest Datsun dealer.
What secrets does the corporate throne hold? We'll get you the answers today.
It's time to look back and look ahead at the House of Policy.
This is how we spot big little stocks.
Speaking of stocks, there's lots you can learn about investing at 20.
Because we are 20 years and we are growing young.
No spoilers.
CNBC TV 18, Season 20. Special programming you'll want to binge watch all month long.
Exchange partner BSE. Experience the new. In association with APL Apollo Steel Pipes, देश की अनदेखी ताकत.
Years of leadership in business and beyond.
Welcome back. ITC has moved to the high point of the day from the frontline space and from the broader markets. A lot of these PSUs doing fairly well. So NCC is at the high point. Mahanagar Gas, our ticker team has been flashing at the bottom of your screen. And we have HPCL2, which has moved to the high point of the day. In light of that, we have a few queries coming in. Mr. Beju T writes to us from Kochi, holds about 14,000 shares of Future Consumer at 54 rupees for the last 9 months. A long-term investor wants to know whether to hold or sell, sitting on a fair amount of loss. More than half of his capital has been eroded. But for Future Consumer, Shahina, you know, the big trigger will now be the new CEO coming in. Rajnikant Sabnavis of Jyoti Laboratories, who was the star COO, has now moved on as a CEO of Future Consumer. How do you rate his investment, especially when he's lost 50% of his capital?
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I think they are making certain changes which are positive, like starting with the top management. And I believe they are working closely with Amazon to, you know, improve the, I would say, whatever they are doing in terms of coupons and trying to increase their sales, etc. And I think there is a good fundamental base that already the management has, the promoter has set up. Mr. Bayani. So I would continue holding this stock. The stock has corrected a lot. I don't see much downside from here, but at the same time, you know, one can hold it for the long term, knowing that it is uncertain in terms of valuation. It is extremely expensive.
All right, Nirav, Shaina, thanks very much for joining in and for advising all of our viewers. By the way, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister has said that it's most likely that the budget will be presented on the 1st of Feb, even though it's a Saturday. So we may be looking forward to this weekend, but yeah, there are some, you know, the first weekend of Feb. will be a busy, busy one.
The big question, however, will be, will the markets be open? Because I remember one of the Saturdays, there was a budget and
Okay,
they
now
did
you've
keep
got
the
to be
stock
kidding
markets
me.
open. No, they did actually. Oh gosh, but I think it's time.
Yeah, it's time to wrap up on your stocks. Do stay tuned in. Closing bell will take you through the last hour of trade.
20 years of leadership in business and beyond.
रोहन, छोड़ो ना, अब तो तुम्हारा प्रमोशन भी हो गया है। बड़ा घर लेने का क्या प्लान है?
जिंदगी के हर अपग्रेड के लिए चाहिए सिस्टमैटिक प्लानिंग। म्यूचुअल फंड्स में एसआईपी द्वारा निवेश करें, क्योंकि गोल्स तो बस गोल्स रहेंगे until you ask yourself क्या प्लान है। HDFC म्यूचुअल फंड द्वारा एक निवेशक शिक्षा पहल, भरोसा अपनों का। म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
Perfect 10, you'll never know from the outside. That's why we go beyond the glitz and glamour of automobiles to give you the real picture, good, bad, or ugly. Because we know that to really appreciate your car, you have to go beyond her surface beauty. Servo presents Overdrive, India's most authoritative guide to automobiles. At these times, only on CNBC TV 18 and CNBCTV18.com.
Presented by Servo Futura G Plus from Indian Oil.
Here's to 2 decades of giving you a fascinating view of the Indian economy and the changing role of policies and politics, shaping your world with actionable intelligence, unparalleled access to the most influential thought leaders, and everything relevant, consequential, and interesting. CNBC TV 18, celebrating 20 years of business leadership.
Exchange partner BSE, experience the new. In association with APL Apollo Steel Pipes, Desh ki andekhi taakat.
This is TV 18 and you're watching CNBC TV 18. 20 years of leadership in business and beyond.
They're jumping in early trade following news that Washington and Beijing have agreed to a Phase 1 trade deal in principle.
The main feature of this so-called Phase 1 trade deal is that it focuses on narrowing the bilateral deficit between the U.S. and China.
Bank Nifty is very strong, and that's because the large private banks, the leadership pocket is intact.
Now with Amneal, the prospects for Dr. Reddy's now have lessened, more so because they're facing delays for this particular drug.
We are looking at a 5% overall GDP growth for the year, which definitely means that the H2 will be better than the H1.
0.5% higher, a little better than what the pre-opening indicated.
The market is reacting to the sort of announcements that the government has been making over the last couple of months.
Next 4 months will be relatively better than the first 8 months.
Clarity has now come through on the next government and a smooth Brexit. It could mean higher demand for auto companies.
The strength in the base metal comes in on the back of the US and China trade deal.
Market is up and about 105 odd points.
Yes, it is up 112 points now, so the Nifty that is, and the Bank Nifty is at the cusp of a fresh all-time high. It's been a very strong momentum move that we have seen. And while the first part of rally was entirely due to the global cues, what's kept the market in good stead is this 3:15 p.m. press conference that the finance minister is going to have. So that's keeping the market a little excited. Let's see. Crucial last hour coming up. This is Closing Bell. I'm Anuj, and with me is Surabhi. Hi Surabhi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Anuj. As usual, the market gets excited. It's the Friday blockbuster from none other than the finance minister, right? A lot of speculation about whether it's going to be something about, GST collections or what else, some more incremental measures. It's all guesswork, but it's a green day, as you said. I'm looking at European markets. Let's just pull up Europe as well for reference right now. It's a nice rally. Risk on is the order of the day. What next for us? Do you think we can perhaps stick with this course for the close today?
You know, like we discussed 2 days back, the correction has ended. And, you know, in bull markets, after corrections end, you normally hit new all-time high and hit higher than that. The call you need to take is whether you buy here or you wait for a reaction. I think the smart thing to do now would be to wait for this finance minister's press conference because, you know, you just want to be sure. Last time when we had a blockbuster, the market gave you enough and ample time to buy for a big rally. So let's see. Because if that was not the case, so by now you should have seen a bit of a sell-on news play out. That hasn't happened. So I think the market's still, you know, hoping that something comes up from there. I think what's interesting today is today's been as broad-based a market that I've seen in a really, really long time. And I'm just not talking about the fact that the advanced decline is 2:1. That's also good. But even in the index, if you take a look at the index stocks, it's across the board. Metals, banks, you know, IT has done well today. TCS, for example. So that way things are good. If you take a look at the top traded screen today, the top 30 or 40 top traded stocks, there's hardly any red except for JSPL and Ujjivan Small Finance Bank. Hardly any red. So that way things are looking good. But, you know, 2 days back at this time, remember where the market was.
We were talking about the old, you know, level, the support, 10,000, 11,750.
And that's why, you know, I made this point yesterday as well. I think in Bazaar, I made this point that, you know, we tend to be so, you know, recency biased that we're only looking at today or yesterday. Just 2 days back at 3 p.m., the bank Nifty was 1,000 points lower than what it is right now. Nifty was at somewhere around 11,860, 870, if my memory serves me right. So we rejoice the higher levels, but the short point is that, you know, did you buy when the market was giving you that opportunity?
Absolutely. Well, let's get started. There are a lot of interesting facets to cover on the show today. Here is what the lineup is looking like. It's green across the screen and how the market is at the day's high. The Nifty above the 12,000 mark. The rally being led by private financials. TCS recovers after yesterday's fall. Reliance also pitches in. Kotak Mahindra Bank and Bharti Airtel, however, are keeping the gains in check today. We'll be discussing all of these trends with the fundamental experts, SP Tulsian of sptulsian.com, Deepan Mehta of Elixir Equities, and Abhimanyu Sofat of IIFL. Now, with global and domestic cues whipsawing the market in the last couple of days, which way is Pankaj Tibrewal betting? He's a fund manager at Kotak Mahindra AMC. We get you the portfolio call with him as we go forward. He's our alpha manager of the day. And of course, as always, trading ideas coming up for a very interesting 1 hour with Mitesh Thakkar and Prakash Kaba.
Okay, how should you position yourself in this last hour of trade then? We have Mitesh Thakkar and Prakash Kaba joining us with last hour calls. Good afternoon, Mitesh. There's been no let up at all today through the day. I mean, dips have lasted for 10 or 15 points, hardly. What's the call now and what would be your stock calls?
Yes, Anuj, I think in fact, since yesterday, I think, you know, when we got that bounce back, there is no let up and no slowing down. That's a good thing actually. See, getting past 12,050 without any hiccup, I think to me is a further signal of strength. The only thing is that the Bank Nifty in the meanwhile is now approaching its all-time high levels of 32,150. So once that is cleared, then I think, you know, you might see Bank Nifty try and attempt 32,600 plus levels, and that could further propel it, or you might see a mild breather around the Bank Nifty at these levels, and the index might consolidate for a few hours. But otherwise, the strength is clearly there. I have two auto names on the buy side. Maruti is a buy. Keep a stop below levels of around 70.50. Look for targets of around 7,300. And Tata Motors, the stock has been clearly buzzing, but it's come off the day's high, so good levels to enter if somebody has missed out. Keep a stop below 170. Look for targets of around 188, 190 on the upside.
Okay, so in top gear today, Mitesh's trades both on the auto side of the market. Prakash, afternoon to you as well. Are you still buying the Nifty or the Bank Nifty for the last hour? And what are you doing with stocks?
No, I don't think I'll wait for the last 1 hour. It's the time to book profit, because what we have seen in Nifty has achieved a target. We had a target of 12,090 zones. I think that's achieved to a dot. And as far as Bank Nifty is concerned, we just shot by our target of 32,120 by around 20 points. this is the place to book profits. Let's see what happens after 315. If it's still good, we can still take it home. It doesn't hurt to take the money off the table, because what I am seeing is a massive up move in the last 3 trading sessions. It's too